My world fell apart the moment I heard his voice. It was around midnight, and I was sitting in my small garage apartment. I had been living there for 3 months, ever since my wife, Caroline, asked me to give her some space. Our marriage, she said, was in a crisis, and we needed time to think. I, a naive fool, agreed. I thought I was giving her time to fix our marriage. In reality, I was giving her time to destroy it completely. I was holding the baby monitor I had bought for our son, Jason, even before Caroline asked me to move out. Now what I heard wasn't a child's cry, but a stranger's deep voice. Then I heard her voice, my wife's voice, and then moans. I froze, pressing the baby monitor to my ear, unable to believe what I was hearing. I wanted to turn it off, throw it away, but a part of me, the part that had survived 3 tours in the Middle East, demanded I listen to everything. I had to hear it all. I turned on my laptop and logged into the surveillance system I had installed around the house. Typical divorced dad paranoia, I told myself. Now I knew it was intuition. The camera in Jason's room showed an empty crib, thank God. But the hallway camera caught movement toward our bedroom, to our bedroom, to my bedroom. Then I switched to the exterior camera and saw a dark blue Tesla Model 3 with California plates, 32D V12A. I automatically memorized the number. Old Army habits. Her voice came through the baby monitor. "Trent," she whispered. I felt something inside me break. The transmission cut to static, and I was left alone with the deafening silence. For 3 months, I had lived on hope. For 3 months, I had believed in our chances. For 3 months, I thought I was the cause of all our problems. And now I understood that I was just a pawn in her game. My phone vibrated. A message from Caroline. "Jason is at my mom's tonight. Don't come by." I looked at the timestamp. It had been sent 20 minutes ago. She had planned this. It took me 53 minutes to find him through the car's registration data. Trent Adams, financial consultant, divorced. He had been working with Caroline at her marketing agency for the past 6 months. The past 6 months. While I was trying to save our marriage, she was busy destroying it. I spent the next few days setting up a new surveillance system. My electronic skills, which I had used to fix Jason's toys, now had a new, sinister purpose. Microtransmitters and photo frames, voice-activated recording devices behind electrical outlets, digital cameras the size of a shirt button. Caroline never suspected. To her, I was just Chris. Predictable, boring Chris who fixed things, paid bills, and never caused a scene. The recordings spoke for themselves. "He's so clueless," Caroline said during one of Trent's visits, "living in that garage like a loyal dog." "When do we make our move?" Trent asked. "Soon. I've already set everything up. I've already done everything. My life, my business, my son, it was all part of their plan. They were going to take everything from me." I called my sister, Samantha. "You're lying," she said, but her voice lacked conviction. We sat in a small coffee shop in Columbus, 15 miles from our house. Samantha stared at the transcripts I had placed in front of her. I had edited them, hiding the traces of my illegal surveillance, but the evidence was undeniable. "Look at the dates," I said. "Compare them to when Caroline asked you to pay attention to my strange behavior." Samantha's face went pale. "She said you were having breakdowns, that you were drinking during the day." "Have you ever seen me drunk during the day?" I asked. "No, but—" She took out her phone and showed me a video. In it, I was pacing in the garage, gesturing wildly. I was on a work call with clients in Singapore, a Bluetooth headset. Samantha looked at the transcripts again. "She's really going to take Jason. What do you want me to do?" "Information. Confirmation. And when the time comes, testimony." "What are you planning?" Samantha asked. "Justice," I replied, and the word hung in the air between us like a promise. The next week, Caroline invited me to dinner. "For Jason's sake, we need to show him that we can be civilized." I agreed, playing the role of the hopeful husband. The dinner was awful.
I watched her pour me wine, and I saw not love in her eyes, but anticipation. I took the glass, but didn't take a sip. "I can't," I said. "I'm on medication for anxiety." Her face flickered for a moment. "Just one sip," she said, "to celebrate our reconciliation." I pretended to agree. I brought the glass to my lips, but didn't swallow a drop. When I put the glass down on the table, I made it look like I had swallowed. She smiled. It was the first genuine smile I'd seen on her face in months. That night, back in my apartment, I sealed the wine glass in a plastic bag and called a man named Hawkins, a retired private detective. I asked him to test the contents of the glass. He agreed. The results came back 2 days later. The wine contained rohypnol, enough to knock out a grown man for several hours. I finally had my evidence. I found Trent in the parking lot of his office. He was alone, walking to his Tesla. He was successful, confident, unaware that his world was about to collapse. I showed him a photograph I had taken from my apartment window. Caroline leaving his house. His face went pale. "What do you want?" he asked. "To talk about my wife? My son? The psychiatric evaluation you're preparing?" I replied. "You're crazy. That's your plan, isn't it? To make me look crazy so Caroline gets custody of Jason and you both get access to my business?" He tried to intimidate me, but I was ready. I've been ready ever since I heard his voice on the baby monitor. He tried to punch me, but I easily dodged, grabbed his wrist and twisted it so he fell to the asphalt. He got up, his face red with shame and rage. "I'm calling the police!" he shouted. "Please do. I'd love to tell them about the pills in my wine, about the recordings of you planning to have me committed, about your relationship with my wife while we're still married." Trent froze, unable to reach his phone. "That's what I thought. Strike one, Trent, 2 more, and you're out." Caroline filed for emergency custody 2 days later, citing my unstable and aggressive behavior. I hired the best family lawyer in the state, Margaret Walsh. She reviewed the documents. "They're moving fast. An emergency hearing next week. They claim you pose a danger to the child." "Based on what?" I asked. "Based on Trent's testimony, your sister's statements about your behavior, and this photograph." She showed me a picture of me standing at my apartment window, gesturing and talking to myself.
"It was a work call," I explained. "I could provide phone records." "Good. What else?" I gave her the wine test report. Her eyebrows shot up. "They tried to poison you? With rohypnol?" she said. "This changes everything. If we can prove their intent to incapacitate you before the hearing." "I have more," I said, handing her Trent's financial reports that Hawkins had dug up. We carefully prepared a fake inheritance letter. It stated that I was expecting $340,000 from an aunt who, as Carolyn knew, had died broke. I left the letter on the kitchen counter where she was sure to find it. 3 days later, I returned home to find the lock on my apartment door had been tampered with. Nothing was missing, but my cameras had recorded everything. Carolyn and Trent in black clothing, breaking in and searching the apartment. They found the letter. They photographed it. I knew they had fallen into the trap. I didn't call the police. I waited. Judge Morrison was a stern woman with no patience for manufactured drama. She listened to Carolyn's lawyer. Then Margaret Walsh stood up. "Your Honor, we would like to present evidence that Mrs. Reed has engaged in a systematic campaign of manipulation and fraud to discredit my client and gain access to assets that do not legally belong to her." The first piece of evidence was the wine test report. The second was the video of their break-in. On the courtroom monitor, Carolyn and Trent's midnight adventure was captured in perfect clarity. "Your Honor," Margaret continued, "there is no inheritance. Mr. Trent and Mrs. Reed broke into my client's apartment to photograph and steal documents for assets that do not exist." The third piece of evidence was Trent's financial records, his fraudulent dealings with clients' money. Carolyn jumped to her feet. "That's not true! He set it all up!" she screamed. "Mrs. Reed, sit down," Judge Morrison said sternly. Carolyn looked at me, her face distorted. "He's manipulating me! He's sick!" she screamed. "Sit down." Judge Morrison's voice cut through the courtroom like a blade. The judge called a recess. When she returned, her decision was swift and merciless. Based on the evidence presented, she found no credible threat to the child from Mr. Reed. Carolyn's petition for emergency custody was denied. Furthermore, the judge ordered a full psychiatric evaluation of Carolyn to determine her fitness for any custody arrangement. Carolyn collapsed into her chair, sobbing. Trent tried to leave, but 2 bailiffs blocked his path. He was arrested. Carolyn called me that night. "Chris, please, we need to talk." "About what? About how you called me clueless? About how you tried to drug me? About how you planned to steal my business?" I asked. Silence hung on the other end of the line. "You recorded us?" she asked. "I was protecting myself." "That's illegal!" she shouted. "Sue me," I said, and hung up. 3 days later, I received a handwritten letter. "Chris, I have something that belongs to you. Come to the garage tomorrow at 8 p.m. Come alone. Carolyn." I knew it was a trap, but I had to go. I had to end this on my terms. I arrived at the garage at exactly 8. She was waiting inside. She looked awful, pale, hollow-eyed, desperate. "You came. You said you had something of mine." "I lied," she replied, and I felt rage rise in my throat. "Then why am I here?" I asked. "We need to end this, all of it." At that moment, the door burst open, and a drunken Trent entered gripping a tire iron. "Well, well," he snarled, "the happy couple, plotting my destruction." "Trent, calm down!" Carolyn screamed. "Shut up, you lying witch," he replied, turning to me. "You think you're so smart, huh?" "Smarter than you, apparently." And the tire iron whistled past my head. I grabbed a wrench from my workbench. "Last chance, Trent. Walk away." He swung again. I didn't dodge. I stepped into his swing and drove the wrench into his solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping for air. I hit him again, harder. He crumpled to the floor.
Caroline screamed, "Is he dead?" I checked his pulse. It was fine. He was just unconscious. "We have to call the police," she screamed. "I guess so," I replied, looking at her. "But first, there's something I need to tell you." "I'm pregnant," she whispered. I stared at her, and then at the paper she had dropped. Ultrasound photos, where the patient's name was clearly Caroline Reed, but something was wrong. "Caroline," I said slowly, "this ultrasound is 8 weeks old. You said you got pregnant 3 months ago, with my child." She went pale. At that moment, Trent groaned and regained consciousness. "You said it was my baby," he said, looking at her. "You liar! You said you were on birth control." The police arrived. Hawkins, who had been following me, provided the footage from his car's camera. Trent was arrested for assault. Caroline was taken to the station to give a statement. In the end, Trent received 18 months in prison for fraud. Caroline was sent for a mandatory psychiatric evaluation. Judge Morrison awarded me full custody of Jason, noting in the record her continued pattern of deceptive and manipulative behavior. Samantha brought Jason to me. "The little guy missed you," she said. Jason hugged me, and I breathed in the scent of his strawberry shampoo. My son, my responsibility, my future. "We're going to find a new home, buddy. Just you and me." "What about Mommy?" he asked. "Mommy is sick right now. She needs to get better." "Will she get better?" I looked at Samantha, who shrugged helplessly. "I don't know, buddy, but you don't have to worry about that. Daddy's here." That night after Jason fell asleep, I sat at the table with a glass of whiskey and the final documents from Hawkins. Trent was in jail. Caroline was in a clinic. My business was safe. My son was safe. My enemies were destroyed. Justice. I opened my laptop and started writing an email to a realtor. It was time to find Jason and me a real home, far away from this garage apartment and all the memories it held. As I was typing, a message from an unknown number came to my phone. "You think you've won? This isn't over." I looked at it. Then I deleted it without replying. I knew it was Caroline. Some things you can't forgive. You can't fix them. You just have to survive them. I finished the email to the realtor, closed the laptop, and went to check on Jason. He was sleeping peacefully, surrounded by his stuffed animals. Tomorrow, we would go looking for our new home. Tomorrow, we would start building a new life free from manipulation, lies, and betrayal. Tonight, I sat at my apartment and listened to the silence. No strange voices on the baby monitor, no strange footsteps on the stairs, no conspiracies, just silence, pure, honest silence. Trent was right about one thing. I had won. But it wasn't a victory to be celebrated. It was just survival, hard-earned and dearly bought. I poured the whiskey down the drain, turned off the lights, and went to bed beside my son. In the morning, we would get in the car and drive away from this place forever.